I talked about post-exposure prophylaxis to prevent HIV infection, because we don't know the HIV status of these perpetrators. So when they come, because we don't know the HIV status of the perpetrators, we give them post-exposure prophylaxis to prevent HIV infection. But this post-exposure prophylaxis, it only works if it is given within 72 hours. If they come beyond 72 hours, it doesn't work. So they have to come early, and the earlier they get that post-exposure prophylaxis, the more effective the treatment is. So that's why they should come early. 2, we also, for older girls and adult women who are not on contraception, we have to give them emergency contraception. And emergency contraception is those emergency contraceptive pills, they are very effective if they are taken within 72 hours. So they need to come early again to prevent pregnancy from these sexual assaults. Also, we need to give them antibiotics to prevent sexually transmitted infections. And also, we have to do a physical forensic medical examination and compile a medical report that will be used in court as evidence. So if they delay coming for that forensic medical examination, some vital evidence will have disappeared and the injuries heal with time. So if they come late, vital evidence would have disappeared, and this will weaken the case in court.
And exactly, Dr. Edmore, what services is a survivor of sexual violence offered when they visit your clinics?
As I said earlier, they are given psychosocial support from the counselors, that is counseling from the counselors. Also, there is the medical management, where we actually give them the tablets for post-exposure prophylaxis to prevent them from contracting HIV. We also give them emergency contraception and also antibiotics to prevent sexually transmitted infections. And we also perform the physical forensic medical examination and fill in the medical reports that will be used in court as evidence.
Lovely. And lastly, Dr. Gwiza, where are Family Support Trust survivor-friendly clinics found?
Yes, here in Harare, we have a clinic at the Salim Gabe Central Hospital, formerly Harare Central Hospital. Then we also have another clinic at Chitungwiza Central Hospital. Then the other clinic is at Mutare Provincial Hospital. Then we also have a clinic at Bedbridge District Hospital. Then we also have clinics at Mpilo Central Hospital and at Beru Provincial Hospital.
Lovely. Thank you so much for that insight, Dr. Edmore Gwiza from Family Support Trust. And we do hope that it has been an edifying one for the nation. Thank you.
Thank you. Good day.
Life is a breeze on Star FM.
Yes, kumnandi lapho ngizenjela abantwana benga braba na your love of my soul official Xavier, and you are listening to Erica on Star FM. Kumnandi la.
One time. Just really want to get something off of my heart, you know. It's a little wild to recognize, but I see it. And I know you see it too. Sweetheart, we were a team. We still are. You know.
I must say today has been rather an edifying and interesting day, especially for the youth, adolescents, much today on air. And just now I'm going to be speaking to Trinos Awutawashe, and he's the Senior Regional Magistrate for the Eastern Division. And in fact, I've got him on the line. Good morning, how are you doing?
Good morning, Erica, how are you?
Absolutely lovely. As I was just saying to the nation that today has been an edifying day. We have been talking to the youth much today, and as we are about to get into something a lot more interesting, and which is why children come into conflict with the law. Now, today we're going to be touching on what is expected in court, touching also on the availability of child-friendly courts and the setups and operations. And also we're going to be looking at in-camera process and benefits, and also the right to legal representation. Now, if you'd allow me, trying us to just maybe head this one out and speak of how never do we ever think of children being in court, and this process ends up being a strainful one on the parents and the children as well. So maybe if you could just head on with today's topic, also touching on how it is likely, and it does happen, for children to end up in court.
Yes, Erica, thank you very much. It does happen that children end up in court, and it's a very sad scenario. But, many things contribute to that, There is, lack of parental control. Things like lack of guidance, where parents are there, but they are simply failing to bring up their children properly, and what I would term parental delinquency. There is, sometimes, the mental makeup of the child, Yeah, the children, we have been dealt with, as children, but have failed to reform. They keep on reoffending, and are children like that as well. Now, there is issues to do with drugs, in areas such as Mbare, Sakuba, in Mutare, Amapeni, Kwekwe, Makukova, in Bulawayo, in some of those areas where, by the nature of how people are settled there, there is too many people, the density of people is too much there, and there is issues to do with poverty, sometimes circumstances force children to get involved in crime. There is also the issue of, I think, we know that there is the diaspora, where lots of people, parents have gone, have left the country for in search of greener pastures, and, the children have been left alone. And the parents they will send a lot of money to the children. It's not a lot of money as such. Over there, it's not much money, but in Zimbabwe, it may be a lot of money because of the economic situation we are in. And the children end up, spending money and end up, buying drugs, alcohol, and things like that. And also, children want to experiment, sometimes, and they end up in trouble. Then there's peer pressure, things like social media. Children are exposed to pornography. Children are exposed, to lots of things which some of us were not exposed to as we grew up, And those are factors and many other factors that contribute, to what is called juvenile delinquency. And children end up in court. So, they end up in court, we're looking at it from two sides. Well, a child will come into court as a witness or a survivor, someone who has been wronged by someone, especially in these offenses like, sexual offenses, rape, indecent assault, aggravated indecent assault, and so forth. And then they end up in court as witnesses. And then they can also come to court as the offenders themselves, children who are in conflict with the law, as the accused persons themselves. And so we are going to look at it from those two angles. Maybe we can start off with a child, coming to court as a complainant, We have got what we call victim-friendly courts.
A child-friendly court.
Yeah, victim-friendly courts. And these are scattered all over the country. as Judicial Service Commission, we have done our best to avail these courts to children, and these are child-friendly courts. And they are in, I think we've got 22 now throughout the country, in Harare, Pindura, Chinoi, Karoi, Chipinge, Chitungwiza, Chilgu, Kadoma, Marondera, Murewa, Mutare, Ustape, Gokwe, Gweru, Mashingo, Chirezi, Bulawayo, Bite Bridge, Gwanda, Plumtree, Wange, and the Western Community in Bulawayo again. So those are 22 victim-friendly courts. And these courts are set up in such a way that, as the name suggests, they are friendly to the survivor, to the child, you know. So the first port of call at court is that the child will meet the public prosecutor who is going to handle the case. And that public prosecutor is a trained victim-friendly court prosecutor to handle such matters. So that prosecutor then starts off by interviewing the child in the presence of the support person, the person who will have brought the child, like the mother, the grandmother, or some other relative. And it is the duty of that prosecutor to make sure that the atmosphere, you know, is victim or child-friendly, so that the child can open up. And during that interview, also, there has to be a person who is specialized in handling children, people who are specially trained to handle children at the courts, who are called intermediaries. So there has to be an intermediary. That intermediary's duty is is in fact a court interpreter, but is called an intermediary in terms of the law, which provided for that office. So that person's duty is to explain, you know, to be the go-between between the questioner and the survivor. So the law provides for the protection of these vulnerable witnesses, and the purpose really is to make sure that, you know, that person doesn't suffer substantial emotional stress from giving evidence.
And one has to imagine how it can be difficult for a child